Before the Internet, written by Anna Lay. Focus question: how did people research and communicate before the Internet? Information and the Internet. Imagine that your city holds a festival each year celebrating the history of the city. Your teacher wants everyone in your class to write a report about the festival. You need to research and include information about your city, the history of the festival, and events happening at the festival this year. Your teacher says that you need to use several different sources. You also need to interview a person who lives in your city. You probably already know how you would start finding information for your project. Your city likely has a website and social media pages where you can quickly learn about its history and current events. You can also find the people involved in planning the festival. Imagine that you live in a time before the internet was available, though. How will you find information for your project now? At the library, you decide to start at the local public library. There, you can find books, articles, news stories, and information about events and people in your city. The librarian can help you find the most useful resources for your project. The librarian tells you that encyclopedias are a helpful starting point for any kind of project. Encyclopedias are books full of information about different topics. They come in a set that is organized alphabetically. Each book usually covers topics that begin with a letter of the alphabet. The encyclopedia might have an article about your city or about an important person who once lived there. Owning encyclopedias. For many years, most schools and libraries had a set of encyclopedia. Many people also owned encyclopedias at home. Encyclopedia salespeople would travel from home to home selling the books. A full set of encyclopedias could cost more than $1,000. Most encyclopedia companies no longer print books. Instead, encyclopedias can be found online. Once you learn everything you can from the encyclopedia, you look for other books in the library. For this, you use the card catalog. This system keeps track of the books in the library. The librarian shows you drawers full of paper cards with information about every book in the library. The cards list the title, author, and subject of each book. You look through the cards until you find a book you think might be helpful. Then you write down the information on the card. Now, you know where to find the book on the shelves. Next, the librarian shows you where the library keeps copies of newspapers and magazines. You look through old newspapers to find stories about the festivals in past years. Your library also has recordings of local TV and radio news stories. You find old photographs and video recording of events that happened at the festival. In the news, you can check the news to find information about these festivals too. This year's festival. Your city's newspaper might have an article about the upcoming festival. Your local news station might do a story about it too. Your library has a copy of the most recent newspapers, and your parents have a newspaper delivered to your home each day. You plan to watch the evening news to see the story on TV. To find out when to watch local news, you look in a TV guide. The guide is printed in your local newspapers. It lists every TV channel available in your area and every show playing on these channels at every hour of the day. The guide also has descriptions of what will happen on the shows that week. You look in the TV guide for the channels you get at your home. Then you find out what time you can watch the news. Face to face, Finally, you've collected all the information you can from books, articles, and news reports. It is time to begin planning your interview. Your research has given you some ideas about who to interview. From reading the newspaper, you've learned who's in charge of planning this year's festival. The local news interviewed a man who has been to 50 festivals. You decide you would like to interview him too. You also think it would be interesting to talk to the mayor of the city. You decide to try contacting all three of these people. You start by getting out another big book, the phone book. This book lists businesses, services, and households in your area. You can look people up by name to find their home telephone number. Or you can look up businesses and city offices to contact the people who work there. The phone book also lists a physical address for each household and business in town. If the person you call agrees to do the interview, you will need to decide on a time and place to meet. You might meet at the library, city hall, or the person's office. You write down the addresses of the people you want to interview, and then you look at the map of your city. The map shows all the streets in town. It also shows important landmarks such as City Hall. Using the map, you can figure out the best way to get from your house to the meeting place. This is the first phone book ever, and it was made in 1878 in New Haven, Connecticut. It was a sheet of cardboard with the name of 50 people and businesses listed on it. They were all the people in New Haven who owned telephones at the time. Phone books quickly grew to have hundreds of pages that listed millions of phone numbers. Phone books continued to be printed and delivered to homes and businesses each year. Finishing up. Once you finish gathering all the information for your project, you begin writing your report. You make sure to write neatly so your teacher can read your work. Then you place the report in a special folder. You don't want it to get dirty or wrinkled before you hand it in to your teacher. Finally, you have some free time. Maybe you go back to the TV guide to find a show to watch for fun. Maybe you grab the phone book again so that you can call a friend. Or maybe you find the closest video store so you can rent a movie to watch. A word of technology. As internet use became more common in the 1990s, research and schoolwork changed a lot. Many other activities such as communication, entertainment changed too. What tools do you use to do your schoolwork? Get in touch with people and plan your free time. Technology has changed the world in many different ways. There is new technology every day, and the world continues to change. In a few years, the tools you use today might seem slow and out of date. What should you think the world will be like then? Connections, writing, research to learn more about the dual decimal system and card catalogs. Then create a card for a book you like that lists all of the information you need to be part of a card catalog. Social studies, choose a topic to research without the internet. Go to a library and research the topic using the steps listed in the book. Write about your experience.